Welcome to a Minecraft playthrough where I see how many days in a row I can play the game. So consider leaving a like on the video, and let's see what we get up to today. The sun sets once again here in Forevercraft, and it is a beautiful day, not only in real life, but in this Minecraft world. You may see that you can actually see over 2 cob plays build over in the distance over there, and we have Play-Doh Storms area right over here as the moon starts to rise, and that is because Cobb, I actually ended up gave me the key to being able to see longer render distances on my computer. So a big thank you for doing that. It makes a huge difference in the world as we are at the North Knife Ranch here. And in today's episode, I did want to discuss a little bit about shaping the land in Minecraft while we continue to get a bit more terraforming done down below over here. It is officially day 14,134, so we have definitely been grinding away here, all of us, on the Forevercraft SMP server. And as you can see, we have our archery range over here, and it is about 5:15 in the morning as in terms of the time of recording this episode. And we do have a couple of backup diamond shovels just in case we need to go and enchant a couple of more. I actually did record another bit of an episode yesterday, but I don't think I'm going to post it. I could post it for channel members only. I don't think I'm going to, though, because I do like talking about my life and about Minecraft, and today's episode is going to be about Minecraft for the most part, but I was going on a total rant yesterday about taxes and my tax advisor and whatnot, and I looked back at the video and I was like, I just don't know if I want to completely share a rant in a negative sense about my tax advisor, so today I figured I'd rather instead talk a bit about how I feel about shaping the land and landscaping in Minecraft. And so, as you can see, what we're kind of doing right here is strictly flattening out the land. We have this kind of 2-block sort of flattened area over next to Play-Doh Storms Ranch area. And I want all of this area right here coming down. I want this all to be pretty much flattened off. And we'll make it look good with Play-Doh's area over here, but I just want it to smooth and transition kind of seamlessly into the terrain. You'll see that we have our kind of stone pathing over there, and it looks good, but when I first did the first iteration of making this pathway design from the hill, I just wasn't happy with it, and so we're still in the process of trying to fix that. And so the first thing that I'm doing, which is a very popular thing for many Minecrafters to do when they are shaping the land in a building sense, is just to make things as flat as possible. When you're working with building builds, which are usually square or rectangular, having a flat land is a great way to be able to do that. And usually, as you get more advanced in building, you get more experienced with being able to learn how to kind of fit your builds into a more angled or a more sloped terrain and really have it fit in with the environment. But if you're starting to get into building and you would like to have really wonderful looking landscapes, I think a really great strategy for just trying to get some sort of ideas into your world is working with a more flat terrain. And you can see here that we happen to be living in a valley this hill that I made over here is actually a custom hill. Speaking of terraforming, and we can get more into that sort of shaping and those ideas a bit later on in the video, or even in upcoming videos if you guys do enjoy hearing a bit more about this kind of world building, landscaping sort of idea. So if you're here and you're new, definitely consider subscribing for that, and please consider leaving a like on the video. It makes a big difference for a small YouTuber just like me. And so what this is going to do is it gives you really a lay of the land, and it does take a bit of time to clear out like the granite and the cobblestone that you can see right here, but eventually you'll see that without these kind of patches of grass and leaf litter over here, it gives you much more of an idea of what sort of builds you could fit into the space. And you can see that if we were to look over at the more sloped terrain over here, you'd be like, well, I don't really know actually how can I fit a build into here? And don't get me wrong, I have ideas. I'm still considering whether or not I want to put some more builds into this area. The longer I leave the I can never say the name of my own place, the North Knife Ranch that build right there, I like how it kind of just stands solitary on the hill like that. But I might want to put some more builds into the area. So I have some ideas about how I could fit a build onto that very slanted terrain, but that's very difficult. And the more that we expand this area out, the more of an idea that we can have of what we're working for. And so if you're looking at a plot in land in Minecraft, even if you're playing with other people and they want to settle in an area that you're not maybe totally happy with, it is very possible to still get an idea of what you want to build around the area. It's not like you always have to go and find a spot thousands and thousands of blocks away from maybe spawn if you're starting a new world, or your friends if you're playing from other people. You can make your home, you can make a spot in a way that is, accessible to other people and is close to other people and is beautiful and is exactly the way that you want it. And most likely, if you put the time and energy to actually shape the land in a way that you want to, you're going to be happy with the way that the builds actually stand and fit themselves on the land as well too. But I know that when I first started Minecraft, I would always have to go and I would search around for like an hour, or I would search for the perfect seed so that I could have the perfect environment to play with and to play upon. And nowadays, I think the more that I play Minecraft, the more comfortable I am with looking at an area, seeing its potential, and even if I don't see its potential at first, flattening or smoothing out the terrain just like this is a wonderful way to get an idea of what you might actually want to work with. And the cool thing is, and this is oftentimes what I do, after we flatten out all of this area right here and we put the rest of the dirt in with the stone blocks that we have down below here and whatnot, then if I want to make some more hills or some, rolling terrain, or, make it just more gradiented or more textured, I'm able to do that. It's just the amount of time that it takes for me to organize and make sense of this land. And when you play in a world that is a forever world, and we happen to play in Forevercraft right here, well, it's, all about how you enjoy the process, right? Like, the whole point of this series and this streak that we're doing is for me to just continue to get on Minecraft and to keep playing the game and to make little bits of progress time and time again. And I'm one of those people that, I enjoy terraforming. I think it's super satisfying seeing the particle effects with a couple of the mods that we have right here that break things apart. And I really do appreciate the sounds, the ASMR of breaking down the blocks as we have right here. And I think that terraforming is also a really great way of, you put a little bit of time in, maybe you don't have all of the time in the world. When we're done with this miniature project that we're doing right here, I promise you, I will look back at what we've been doing, even if it's only been 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that, and I can look back at my progress. And so if you're ever looking to just get a little bit of work done, if you have a major landscaping project, if you just allow for yourself to enjoy playing Minecraft and enjoy this process of smoothing out the land and making sense of it, that can make a huge difference for your ability to have more ideas come into the world. As you can see, as this smoothens out and we now have this area right here, maybe if I wanted to put a couple of builds in right here, or if I wanted to put a custom lake or a special pathway, or, just like a community feature, something like that, I could. And that's just one idea that could come to mind, but I'm still working on clearing out this area in the first place. And so flattening out the area is, I think, a really wonderful tool that people don't give enough credit for. And I think the creator that really inspired for me to, to attack landscaping and building in Minecraft and building a Minecraft world, especially in a long-term sense in this way, is a Minecrafter that I've talked about many different times. That is the Minecrafter Flip. Now, I'm sure most of you guys probably know Flip by now. He is a hardcore Minecraft YouTuber, definitely a medieval fantasy kingdom builder, and he has been building in his world for such a long time, and he's a full-time YouTuber and has been building so big that he's been continually expanding his kingdom named Path. And he's also been expanding into the desert and to all these different areas around him. But since some of the biomes that Flip has wanted to build in, for example, the desert, is so far away from his main kingdom that it would take him thousands of blocks in order to get back and forth from one area of his city that he's been building to another. So what did he do? He ended up completely transforming the land into a brand new biome. And so now he has some custom terrain that looks incredible, by the way, that I think he's really proud of and can look back on, that has made a new biome or a new location for cities and villages that is right next to his kingdom of Path. You know, it's the same sort of thing as if I wanted to build it differently over the hill up behind the ranch over there, then I would be able to do that, but it would just take a long time for me to create a new biome. Well, guess what? I have forever. I hope to keep making these videos and be hanging out with you guys 5 years from now, and 10 years from now, and 15 years from now, and 20 years from now. And so I have all of the time in the world in order to make that happen. And so if I enjoy the process of just flattening out the area in the land and making sense of it, I think that is a really wonderful way to start. However, it's also worth mentioning that that is not how I started building and landscaping at all in Minecraft. I definitely started landscaping in a way of just really intertwining my builds into the terrain, which I think is a more unique thing compared to how some other people operate when it comes down to it. Now, you can probably see if we go back up to this pathway design that we have right over here, and maybe we'll take a pit stop back up at the top of the ranch. You can see that my path designs, although they're not perfect, and I'm probably missing a couple blocks over here. Yeah, like we have like a block missing right here. It's like, why is that like that? And you know, another path block that doesn't need to be like that, and that sort of thing. So I do need to come back and fix this up a bit, as you can see, especially as we continue to terraform. But you can really tell that as we kind of walk up this path right here, that it is very intertwined with the terrain. And I do have to maybe jump a little bit, but for the most part, it is slabs just making my way up here. But as the path kind of just winds up like this, man, I'm just missing a lot of blocks right now, apparently. Or maybe Endermen are going and doing something. A beautiful moon that we have right here, too. Why don't we actually head up and we can drop off a bit of the dirt, and we can also head to sleep for the night, too. So as you can see, a lot of my path building, and I really enjoy this, is pretty intertwined with the natural formation of the terrain. And that can be contrasted a lot too. In particular, the town that we are making, the shopping town on the Lotus, or not on the Lotus, on the Forevercraft SMP, which you can take a look at Cobb's videos in particular as we approach the next day here. And a bit of Plato's too. We're making a town, a little area, but it's much more, you know, kind of like path and grid-like sort of terrain. And that has a time and a place for building too. If you're building a city or something that is more grid-like because that's how it looks like in real life, then I really encourage you doing that. But the second thing for me that helped me getting into shaping the land is actually not doing as much of this terraforming, working with my shovel in the first place at all. And really was just kind of working the build into the land as much as I can. And I think maybe a good example of that is probably if I head over to where our Papa Gast is over here. And thank you to Desolator once again for that name. You can see right here, I actually have not terraformed around this area where we have our farm animals and that sort of thing. And I will eventually end up terraforming it. And I haven't really even like terraformed this area right here, because you can see that this kind of formation of land is impeding a pathway design. So eventually I will continue to smoothen out the land. But if I didn't want to, it's more than possible, and this is how I always used to play. I would, instead of just flattening all of this down, I would continue to build the pathway up just naturally, just like this, kind of following the natural jaunt of the terrain all the way up here. And then maybe I could, you know, flatten over this cave that somehow there's a villager and a donkey hanging out over there. And I would just build something up here. And I wouldn't have really changed the land whatsoever, where now I have new ideas where this entire landscape has to go. Or maybe if I wanted to put a build right on this more flattened area right over here, I could do that, right? And so just like without really even doing anything, not really changing the custom Minecraft terrain, there's so much that you can do just to weave kind of paths and builds into the landscape that you have. Imagine the mountaintop area that we have over by Cobb's base over here. I mean, I wouldn't have to do much to this hill right up on top there in order to place a new build into there and get the idea that I'm looking for. So just, I could have a snaking path leading up there and maybe a tower that's right here where I'm looking, and then maybe another build kind of similar to Cobb's original build right up on the hill right there. And who knows, we'll have to see what ideas he has to transforming the environment like this when it comes down to it. But you can just intertwine yourself with the natural terrain. Although the interesting thing is, the more that you get into really kind of curated terraforming in the way that I happen to be doing nowadays, I think even more so, the more you look at the natural Minecraft terrain, and you're like, okay, I could do so much more in order to kind of make it into the vision that I have in my head. And the more that you shape the land, the more ideas that you have about how you could shape the land in particular ways, especially when it comes down to different block palettes that you want to have in the world, or different themes that you want to have that will be incorporated with the story that you're making with every block that you break or place within your Minecraft world. And so that's, a second real strong way that I've always really started with is just using the natural terrain. And I think that that can be a really helpful thing too. And so smoothing is the first one, and working with the natural terrain is the second one. And a third tip that I wanted to talk about is really specifically working either with tools like Lightmatica, like Axiom and that sort of thing, or even just doing it naturally and working instead of smoothing out things, specifically trying to have a certain type of slant. Now, you could think about, bluffs by a cliffside on the beach, where the wind would be eroding the sand in the cliffside over time. And you could do a lot with that in order to make custom terrain and use custom blocks in order to give that appeal. Or maybe you want to have an idea of a mountain sort of, pass way through. If any of you guys are familiar with the base track camping, hiking kind of path to Mount Everest in the Himalayan mountains, well, there's a lot of pathway designs and cliffs that you could intentionally put into your Minecraft world that it would take you some time, of course. And the whole point of playing Minecraft is, again, even landscaping, is to enjoy the landscapes that you're making. And as Plato has kind of talked about, and I've mentioned a couple times in these videos, like, I think us human beings, we really are attracted to this greenery and to this natural life that we have right here. And so incorporating that and understanding different ways of thinking about and tools that you could incorporate into shaping the land and making landscapes, I think is a really fun thing to do. And so another really great example, once again, of the landscaping, of maybe being more intentional actually with the sloping of your designs, is the North Fork Ranch Hill that we have right here. This entire landmass area that we have right here, this is all custom terrain. This was all done by me, and I didn't use any Lightmatica or anything like that. This was all just me in survival Minecraft, just playing in Forevercraft, trying to figure this out. And so if I was to punch out a couple of blocks, maybe, I'm not going to work my way too much in here. Okay, I'm not going to. That could have, we don't want it to be spawned up too, so let's try to, we don't want any mobs in here. Anyway, if I was to open up super, this would be very hollow inside. This mountain is actually quite hollow because I decided to smoothen out the land a bit, but you can see that it also has a bit of a smoother, but still very much a hill kind of, slants to it. And that is very intentional on my part. I wanted some of the pathway designs that we have right here to remind me of walking on a horse while playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And the more that we continue to walk on that path, the more I get that vibe too. So it was the idea that we're going for, and it's a different slant design than we have. That natural generated hill is much different than this generated hill right here. And you may notice, if you have more of an eye for it, that all of this I'm pretty happy with, but this clump right here next to the pathway design is something that I'm not happy with. And all this right here leading on down to the leaf litter, I'm not happy with all of this. And so a big part of the reason I'm doing all of the work that I'm doing to flatten and smoothen out this area right here is because of that. But while you smoothen out the land, you can also consider and incorporate different sorts of slants to your world, and that gives it extra life. It's easier for my character to use the specific paths to come down this mill, or there's a timer. We're going to keep going though. It's very easy for my creator to go down those paths that I have created myself, because I've had game design and intention about how I want you to feel in the atmosphere that you can get from going down this paths, and how there's certain steepness and there's also certain smoothness to that mountainside. And the more that you can do that in a micro sense and in a macro sense, have it block by block as you continue to walk and have a lived in path. As we can maybe continue to walk back up here. This right here is very just like, okay, part of the land, much more natural and that sort of thing. And this up here is too, you can see that it's very rugged, and I don't have to jump too much, but I do have to be kind of intentional with where I'm placing my feet for the most part, and then I can come up here. And then if we wanted to, and it's cool seeing all the progress that we've gotten done once again. If I want to, then I can head on over to the right side just like this, and this is the pathway design that I'm talking about. Look how smooth and curated this is, and you can see that we have our cliffside just looking over on the terrain, just like that, and that is a really beautiful thing. And so even when it comes down to Cobb's Quarry that we have right over here, that looks kind of interesting, but you can see how these differences in looking at the land and thinking about how you can shape it can make a big difference. For example, we have this kind of valley right over here, where I'm kind of punching and clicking and that sort of thing. Well, if I wanted to, I could work with the terrain. I could do a custom sort of mine shaft right here, or I could close this in and maybe whittle it around into some sort of reservoir, which I think would be a really great idea, having like a lake in the middle or something like that. Or I could just flatten around and smoothen out this entire area so that we have more ideas for builds, or more of a central hub in this valley area that we could do. And for me, maybe we'll get around to this area at some point in time, but we still have like a lot of landscaping to do. And now that you can see that I'm smoothing out this area, we now have this wedge of land just like this that you can see did fit into the terrain in like a natural sort of Minecrafty way beforehand. But now that we're smoothing out the land, you can see that it is, now this needs to go, right? This is now not a final product. And even as I kind of take out these blocks right here, it's going to leave it so that the path is now very undone, right? It's going to make me want to come back and continue to work on this. And again, I'm just enjoying myself hanging out and getting this, this path building done. Now, a lot of people, especially within the modern Minecraft sphere, are going to use tools such as Axiom in order to do some incredible landscaping. And I do believe that if you go to Plato's Republic, his first ever starter base, you can see a really cool slanted cliffside with a really awesome curvature that is still beyond my building, ability yet. But the beautiful thing about landscaping, especially if you're playing in a world that lasts forever, is that you have time to come back and iterate. And I come back every single day. We've been working on, this terraforming project for a couple of days now, and I'm sure that some of you guys are excited to actually get a bit closer to the building aspect of it. But you can see that slowly but surely, like, I keep loving coming back to doing this, and I can have more of an idea of what I'm looking for. And even looking back at the North Knife Ranch right here, seeing, imagining these blocks also being gone and being flattened, everything into grass block right here, even just there's an openness, there is more of a harmony in between the contrast of the hillside that we have right here, along with the smoothness of things flattening out in the valley as we lead our way over to the part of the ranch where we have, Plato's happy guest over here and Plato's part of the ranch over here. And even as I continue to break down these little pieces of grass block too, you can notice that it's smoothing out the viewpoint, the way that I want to look through the pathway over at Cobb's base right here. You can see that this dirt, now it did need to go, although at the same time I could have worked the land in a way that I could have just worked with it kind of naturally and that sort of thing. So those are just a couple of ways that I like to think about shaping the land and landscaping in Minecraft. And I have a lot more. If I'm being honest, I would actually continue along with communicating and sharing more tips about this, but it is about 5:40 a.m. in the morning, and I do want to make sure that I can go to the gym before work, so I am going to get out of here. So if you are new to the channel, if you would like to get some more landscaping ideas, definitely consider leaving a comment below, having any ideas. I'd love to know how you think about landscaping your lands, and maybe I can also include a couple of those ideas into a follow-up video if you guys would like that. So once again, my name is Slip. I am a Minecrafter and an elementary school teacher, and I appreciate you guys spending some time with me. If you would like to get caught up on all of our projects and progress here on Forevercraft, definitely take a look at the playlist that you can see right here. And if you haven't taken a look at Plato and Cobb's channels, definitely take a look at the link in description as well.